5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Good morning, Misfits. I don't know what the fuck. No idea what's going on. Hopefully, the internet is just shutting down and we won't have to deal with this anymore. We'll just go back to the Stone Age and we'll learn how to hunt and fish and build things with our hands. So, um, I just spent about 20 minutes or so backstage with George. We were able to get the guest link up where we were, we were speaking, but for some reason it was not. Oh no. For some reason it was not coming through into OBS. So it said we're having like sort of like a Cloudflare. See this right? This screen right here. It says Cloudflare error, and it just wasn't working. So eventually I said, hey, let's just reschedule, and I figure I could jump on because it looks like Rumble is working, and it looks like it's going to be streaming through, but for some reason X seems to be down, and the Brave when you type in video under Brave, it's not working. It's a long story. It's a lot of tech. This is the first time I think technical difficulties are actually not my fault. So that's nice, but I think that if we just keep on fucking with it, we're just not gonna have a show today. And I figured I'd rather just jump on, and I did a quick pivot. I did a very quick pivot where I was like, okay, I can just do a show on It's the News. Oh, hold on. Let me get you guys. Sorry. We're going to frame this up. I could do it the other way. I could do it the fancy way, because I also have this here. I'm going to show you guys. I know you can't see it, but if I hit a couple of buttons, I can, look, no hands. I can move my camera up and down. It is remote controlled. There we go. Perfect. Anyway, yeah, I did a quick pivot and I was like, well, I have a thumbnail for Just the News. I can just write Just the News in the description. We can pivot really quick and do it that way. But I don't know what's going on. Hopefully the internet is just about to be shut down. This will be the last show we ever do. People will stop being cunts online because there won't be an online. And y'all can learn how to hunt and fish and shit like I do. That's pretty much where we're at. Let me see here. I'm going to pull up a couple. Yeah. Failed to load. X is not up at all as far as on the app. Looks like Brave. Let me go here. Yes, Brave seems to be working. Although we gotta do some work here. There we go. Yeah, if anybody in the comments knows what the fuck is going on, if you guys are getting an update, if you guys are watching maybe some MSM and they're talking about it, but it seems like there is an issue with the actual internet. Not my fault this time. Okay. Let's get your chat up. Let's get the Brave browser up. And I guess what we'll do is we're just going to do a Just the News portion of the show. X was hacked for sure. Well, I don't know if X was hacked. If it was only X, then I would assume that down detector is also down. It could be a cyber attack. If it is a cyber attack, then we'll see how it works out. But we are live. We are definitely not streaming on X, I don't believe. Facebook and Instagram are fine. See, the problem with having most of the internet sharing the same servers, the problem with monopolies in general, right? Like, I mean, if you think about it, there's like Amazon Web Services, I think, accounts for like some big portion of the internet, and then there's the other one. I don't fucking know. I'm not a nerd, but there's like four or five or something like that. So if one of them goes down, all of them go down. As opposed to, yeah, Amazon servers were down a few weeks ago. I also noticed that my volume, oh, freaking my volume on that last episode was very loud, and nobody told me. I was like, very loud. Ah, this seems much better. Yes. Okay. Today sounds a lot better. You guys should have told me. See, like this. Oh yeah. Okay, we're good. That's how we do tech. That's my man. My man in the chair. My man in the chair is me. I need a man in the chair that does all my audio shit and listens to the show while I'm talking. It's supposed to be you guys in the chat right there, but it wasn't. I think we fixed it. I see my little yellows and my little yellows and greens. Anyway, I don't know. I'm sort of out of sorts. I'm also fucking tired as shit. I basically slept the whole day yesterday. I'm not sick really, but um just sort of drained. And the fucking internet got mad at me yesterday, some of them. Some of the Jews. We'll talk about that in a bit. But anyway, let's just jump right into it. Let's get into the actual show cuz we got to give you something. Here, where are you? Nope, other way. Other way. There we go. There we go. I can do it one of two ways. I can do it with the clicky thing, or I can just grab the fucking camera and move it. Now I got my camera set up in front of my monitor. So I bought this gigantic fucking monitor. Like massive. It's 40 something inches. And that means that I can have everything. I just have to put the camera where there isn't something that I'm trying to read. So I have this little space in the middle. All right. Okay. And scene. Let's start the show. Okay. Today's the Daily Breakdown, just the news. And just the news usually means just the news, where we don't go into social media. And we might have to do just the news because the internet not working. But we will jump into a little bit of the internet today because I do want to go through this whole little beef with Sloan and like where I think that some people are already starting to show me signs of, you know, doing what hypocrisy. Let's just call it that. I'm seeing some hypocrisy from people that agree with me, where they are trying to cancel people, where they are going a little bit too far. But until we get to that, let's get to this. Just the news. Here are the top headlines. And as you can see up here at the top, I just typed in the word news on a search engine, and this is what popped up. So what we do is we break down the news, whatever comes up. We don't cherry pick stories. We don't try to push narratives. We just go through what the whole internet is saying is the stories of the day, and we break them down. All right. Judge says Justice Department may have committed misconduct in the Comey case. Okay. Sometimes we can read the New York Times. Sometimes we cannot. So let's see if that's on the top of the list here. Not seeing it, not seeing it. It's probably not even a fucking real good story. Ah, here we go. Comey case misconduct. Now, this could also be a judge that is just like, hey, it's just like all those other judges who are who are trying to railroad Donald Trump. So let's read and we'll break it down. A judge on Monday ordered the Department of Justice to hand over grand jury material to former FBI Director James Comey, an unusual move that the judge said was necessary because of the department's highly unusual activity during secret grand jury proceedings. So, I'm going to make a prediction here, okay? This is, maybe you can call this bias, maybe you can call this pattern recognition, but it seems like a lot of judges lately in this last year are doing shit that is unusual because they don't have any other way to try to stop Donald Trump. It feels like a lot of judges are going outside of their normal purview or breaking norms, and they're claiming it's because Trump is breaking norms when Trump is not breaking norms at all. What Trump is doing is exactly what was done to him, minus the fact that he's not making shit up, right? So if there's evidence against James Comey, evidence against John Bolton, evidence against Adam Schiff, evidence against Letitia James, right? Trump is like, okay, you guys made up evidence about me and tried to prosecute me. You set the precedent. You said nobody is above the law, and we can now use the Federal Department of Justice to go after people, whether they're in politics or not, whether they're my political opponents or not, because you did that to me. So what Trump is doing is he's going, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. And now there's some judges that are like, no, you can't do that. It can only be done to you. So judges are like, and also when Trump is like, hey, you know what? This is my administration now. I'm gonna shut the border down. I'm gonna get rid of all the illegals. Judges are like, you can't do that. Obama could do that, but you can't do that. So I'm going to, as a judge, as a state judge, I'm going to pretend like I have federal authority over you, and I'm going to say, you need to show me everything. It's like you could get 10, 12 judges out of a country of a 350 million people to try to railroad Donald Trump's administration, and it seems like that's what they're doing. I'm not just asking questions. I'm not theorizing without evidence. This is what it looks like. But let's see. Magistrate Judge William Fitzpatrick scolded the DOJ for what he said was a glaring mishandling of evidence presented to grand jurors and possible misstatements by the case's lead prosecutors. Okay. The court finds that the government's actions, whether purposeful, reckless, or negligent, raises genuine issues of misconduct. Okay, well, show me. It says you just say you don't like the procedure. The grand jury's proceedings may have been tainted beyond repair and could cause the court to dismiss the indictment. Okay, sure. Yeah, how would you prefer they have done it? I bet you there was nothing that they could have done. By the way, this is all we're seeing, okay? This is what we're seeing. We're seeing there's neglect, or there's recklessness, or there's some type of, procedural error. Not saying what it actually is, right? Like, what did the DOJ do? I would like to know, because as of right now, the judge is saying, trust me, bro. Halligan, a former White House aide, had no prior prosecutorial experience, was installed by Trump. Nominated, I think, yeah. Maybe installed is the right word. It just sounds bad. They did. Now this is where you might have some credibility to your argument. If they did rush things because the statute of limitations was about to expire, there could have been a procedural error. I just want to know what that is. Otherwise, this is the judge saying, trust me, bro, and trying to let Comey go. So I guess we will see what that's about. But again, it's more just political theater as of right now, because there's nothing that they have said or presented evidence to that will actually, prove that the Trump DOJ did anything wrong. Okay. Trump bows to reality in Epstein reversal. No, there's nothing. We can't read this one. Okay. Let's go find it at the top. Epstein reversal. We already did Fox News. Let's go to, no. That's not it. Here we go. This is what they're actually saying. Trump called. Now, I will be very clear. I'll play devil's advocate, right? Trump said there were no like the Epstein files were already released, and we've heard this over and over and over again. How they've already been released and there's nothing there, and now they're saying release the files that they do have, which is evidence in itself that there were files. There were files that weren't released, and we should get them. Right? I am of the belief just release every fucking thing. Right? Now, here's why that's not a good idea. Right? Let me steel man Trump's argument. Okay? There are still victims. There are still victims in this case that whose identity is not public. Those victims might not want the public scrutiny. All right? Trump has been very clear. Everything that's worth anything has been released. Anything that's like going, there's nothing's going to come out, guys. Like, you guys this is a dead fucking horse. It's a dead fucking horse that people just keep kicking and kicking and kicking, waiting for Trump to come out. He's not going to, right? You might get new information that you didn't know before. But it's just like with the JFK files. It's like, yeah, we got new information. Did it change anything? No, not really. Did the Jews did it? No. Like it's just this obsession with going back and trying to like squeeze every last drop out of the Epstein files is why Trump is calling it a hoax. It's not that Epstein never raped children. That's not a hoax. He did that, right? It's not that Epstein wasn't connected to high-profile figures and probably blackmailed them, and the Bill Clinton dress with the red shoes is not real. That's all real. All of it's real. It really happened. It's not a hoax. What is a hoax is for like over a decade and a half, Democrats, media, a bunch of other fucking people, they didn't give a fuck about this. And now they do. That's the hoax. It's like like all of the evidence has probably been destroyed. Everybody's been covered. All of it's sort of just like wrapped up. So now that they know that, they're like, oh, now release it. After we had the Obama administration, the Bush administration, and the Biden administration. Now, sure, there was a Trump administration in there too. However, right, as we know, he was going through 2 impeachments. He was trying to deal with many items on the agenda, and maybe it wasn't a priority for him under his first administration. But you got 4 years out of like over 15, and like I think it's like 18 something years. And that's what we're going to say. We're going to be like, Trump was the one covering it up. He's been back for 10 months. He's the one covering it up. No, everybody knows this is fucking a weaponized talking point. And that's the hoax. Right? So now Trump is like, okay, fucker. You want to play this game? Release all of it. Right? Because that's what Trump has been trying to do. Trump has been like, we're going to try to protect the victims. We're going to try to do this the right way. Oh, okay. You want me to release it? Release all of it. Everything. Every little thing. In fact, I'll have Pam Bondi go and I'll have her dig even deeper into it to find maybe the shit that you've deleted. Yeah, okay. You want to play this game? Fuck it. That's what's happening now, in my opinion. In my opinion, he's like, he didn't backtrack at all. He was like, I just don't care. And then when they made him care, he's like, okay, I care a lot. Now I care a lot. So let's read this article from the BBC. Okay. Donald Trump has urged lawmakers in his own party to vote to release the Epstein files related to the late convicted sexual offender Jeffrey Epstein. Trump wrote on Sunday that Republicans in the House should do so because we have nothing to hide. It's a striking reversal for Trump. Like I told you, not really a reversal, more like a, hey, there are other victims here. There's nothing else in here, and we should move on. But if you want it released, I guess, Um, the vote release was a Democrat-driven distraction. It still is a Democrat-driven distraction. There has been a slow drip feed of documents concerning the disgraced financier, because what the Democrats want to do is they want to drip out, they want to find and cherry pick. They go, "Oh, I found an email where Jeffrey Epstein mentions Trump. Let's release that." Now that Trump sees that that's what they're doing, he goes, "Hey, fuck it, all of it. I'm not gonna let you guys go and find my name where it doesn't even mean anything and just release that little portion to Politico or fucking MSNBC. No, 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 no. Let's do all of it. Fuck the victims that you guys don't care about. Nah. Sorry. We're done." Potentially dozens of Republicans have now signaled they are willing to break ranks and vote in favor of a bill that would compel the U.S. government to publish all documents. This is another thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene is part of the hoax. She's not part of the altruistic people who are trying to release the Epstein files. Thomas Massie is part of the hoax, not part of some altruistic, like we care about the victims. Because again, nobody gave a fuck about the Epstein files until the past 8 months. Nobody. Some people would talk about it every once in a while, but no. This whole fucking release the Epstein files, it's a hoax. It's a weaponization against Trump. It's just to undermine Trump. It's just so headlines can come up like this, where it says, Trump reversed his position. Trump has never reversed his position. It's your fucking job to release them. It's always been your job to release them, Congress. It's your job to investigate and release. Donald Trump is in charge of, foreign policy, the military, and the fucking economy, which he's not really, but he is. Right? It's like Donald Trump is not spending his days thinking about a 15 to 20-year-old fucking case that has been litigated where the fucking guy is dead. That's not Trump's fucking job. That's your job. That's the FBI's job. There's the Federal Bureau of Investigations who investigated it, and then there's Congress who gets to investigate the investigators, put together and compile investigations, and release it to the public. You're a representative government. Your job is to tell us what's going on in our fucking job, in our government. You tell me what they did, and it's not your job. I mean, it's not Trump's job. Your job. Since returning to the White House, Trump has dismissed the need to release more documents, despite being a key demand of many of his supporters and allies. Hoax. Despite being a key demand. It was never a key demand before. Recently called the Democrat-led hoax to deflect attention away from his party work. I don't care. He wrote on Truth Social, urging Republicans to get back on point. Exactly. I'd rather fix the economy than find out what happened with the dead pedophile. I've been saying this for months. House Speaker Mike Johnson made a similar point, calling to release the files. Now, again, to put a bow on it, now, while Trump was not wrong before in saying this is kind of stupid, right? It's not necessarily a reversal. Now it's just he's just like, fuck it, dude. Just go ahead. I have nothing to hide. I've been trying to protect the victims. I've been trying to get back to the agenda. I've been trying to fix the economy. I've been juggling plates like crazy. And everybody's been screaming about the Epstein files. So fine, if you really fucking want this, right? Release every fucking document, just like we did with the JFK files, so we can move on. Because it's getting to the point where this is just fucking annoying. That's what I think is going on. What we know about the Epstein emails, there was nothing in them. There was nothing in them. In fact, the new documents that just came out like a week or two ago, it's basically Epstein saying, Trump doesn't like me very much. Yeah, no shit, you're a pedophile. Okay. Now, let's go back to the main headlines. Okay, so we got this covered. This is pretty much the same thing, but let's read it anyway. Let's break it down. House Republicans say Dem twisting Epstein's... This is the hoax. This is Trump called it a hoax. This is what the hoax is. Dems are twisting the Epstein probe to smear Trump. That's the hoax. Right. This part right here is the hoax. The Epstein files are not a hoax. I heard that like Hakeem Jeffries and some other Democrat. I heard that there was a Democrat that was texting Epstein during a hearing about Epstein. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, release everything. Let's scrutinize all of it. If there are Republicans in there that were fucking buddy buddy with him, fine. Doesn't bother me, right? We know Trump is not involved with Epstein because if Trump was involved with Epstein, anything in the Epstein files that prove it would have been released because it's Trump. You think that they fucking tried to kill him twice and bankrupt him and throw him in jail, but didn't drop the fucking proof that's in the most prolific pedophiles' fucking documents? No, they would have released it. If it has not been released, it is not there. I can say that with full confidence. Twitter is down again. I know the show started late. Looks like it's more than just Twitter. It looks like it's internet servers. So we'll see what's going on with that. You guys want to know something wild? You know how your eyes. Okay, so my new computer screen. You see me moving my head back and forth a lot more. That's because I got this big, wide, 40-inch computer monitor now, and it's curved, right? So I have a curved computer monitor, but because it's so wide, it's not normal. It's not like a normal computer screen that most people look at, which is more square. So when I'm watching my computer, reading all this shit, it's sort of stretched out a little bit horizontally. So when I go and I look at my phone, if I'm reading my screen and then I look at my phone, the text looks so small. Right? It's like the text looks like I changed a setting on my phone that I never did. Like it's so weird. I'm reading a text from my girlfriend right now and I was like, "Whoa, did I change something?" No. It's just the eye adjustment. Yes, they won't do this with Diddy, exactly. There's plenty of implicated in there too. It wasn't just celebs. Yeah, nobody's bitching about the Diddy files because Trump isn't related to the Diddy files at all. In fact, Diddy has more connections with the Obamas than he does with Trump. So nobody's doing the same thing that they're doing right now with the Epstein files to the Diddy files, right? That's a very good point from somebody in my chat. Okay. Oversight Committee are accusing their Democrat counterparts of using the House ongoing investigation to attack President Trump rather than find closure for the victims. This is the hoax. This is the hoax. This is the hoax. Everybody say it with me. This is the hoax. This is the hoax. This is not the hoax. This happened. This is the hoax. It's not that Jeffrey Epstein did not do what Jeffrey Epstein did. That happened. Trump has said that happened. The attack, the weaponization, that's the hoax. I gotta say it over and over again, guys, because you have to remember the people that I'm arguing against are retarded. Right? Like people are like, you repeat yourself a lot. Yeah, I repeat myself a lot because as I say, it's like training a fucking puppy. It takes repetition. These people are stupid. Okay, so we pretty much went over this. I think everybody's got the point, right? Okay. Deeply ashamed, Larry Summers steps back from Jesus, everything's Epstein. Shocker. Every fucking headline is Epstein. It's Epstein, 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 Epstein. It's almost like the mainstream media is all talking about Epstein and trying to put it towards Trump. Ah. Is Larry Summers somehow connected to Trump? I don't know. Let's see. Larry Summers stepped back from public life over Epstein links. Former Treasury Secretary. Was he a secretary under Trump? I can't remember. Harvard professor and economist Larry Summers said he would be stepping back from public life after documents released by the House Oversight Committee reveal email exchanges between Summers and the convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, who called himself Summers' wingman. Former Treasury Secretary, it's not saying under who, so I'm assuming Democrat, expressed deep regret for past messages with Epstein. Okay. The left-leaning think tank hold on, I take full responsibility. The left-leaning think tank, Center for American Progress, told Guardian that Summers and here we go. Yeah, Democrat. Yeah. Notice how they make you read all the way to this point before you even know where this guy lines up politically. It's on purpose. That's why we break down the news. We break down the news because, like, let's really dive into this. Why do I do this show? Why do I do the daily breakdown? Why am I breaking things down? Because the way the mainstream media and the new media, by the way, we're breaking that down now too. The fucking conservative podcasters are pretty much mirroring MSM. But why do we break it down? We break it down because most people just read it, right? Most people just read. They just read and they don't recognize the tricks. They don't recognize the headlines. They don't recognize the bias. They don't recognize the hoaxes. They don't recognize because there's a certain level of either trust or muscle memory or just whatever. Like the way that it's worked for so long is people will just see a headline, read a headline, believe the headline because most people aren't deeply involved in politics. Most people are just reading it the same way, you would read IKEA instructions on how to put together a fucking piece of furniture. You just assume that the people that put it there wouldn't just lie to you for no fucking reason, right? Or they have a reason, they just wouldn't. It wouldn't be so clear, and that's why we do the breakdown. We do the breakdown, and we grab just the news. We don't cherry pick. We don't pick, like, oh, we're only gonna watch Fox News and Newsmax. We're gonna whatever pops up. It's usually BBC and New York Times, actually. And we do that because this is how the media has been running for decades. They put this here, and they're gonna gloss this. They're gonna gloss over this, right? Meanwhile, right, we go back to the last one. Trump, Epstein, Trump, Epstein. The Justice Department may have committed. The Trump Justice Department, which the current Justice Department, may have conducted misconduct. It's all bullshit. They do this on purpose. Anyway, his comments come after lawmakers on both sides of the aisle urged companies and institutions to cut ties with Summers. Democratic Senator Liz Warren told CNN that Summers should be held accountable for his years-long relationship with Epstein. And then they just put the picture. It's always the picture of Trump. It's always the picture of Trump and Epstein from fucking 30 years ago. Always. It's always this fucking picture. There's like 2 pictures with Epstein and Trump, right? Or maybe 3 or 4 tops. And they just throw it at you over and over and over again. And you wonder why he calls them fake news. Anyway. Something that isn't Epstein. Maybe. I'm sure they'll be able to figure out a way to tie it to him. Ousted Bangladesh PM Sheikh Hasina, sentenced to death for crimes against... Whoa. Okay. Is that her? The fuck? All right. Let's talk about some geopolitics. Hasina sentenced in absentia by court in Dhaka over deadly crackdown on student-led uprising last year. Hold on. I don't know anything about this. Bangladesh's deposed prime minister, um, Sheikh Sheikh Hasina, has been sentenced to death in absentia by a court in Dhaka for crimes against humanity over a deadly crackdown on student-led uprising last year. A three-judge bench of the country's International Crimes Tribunal convicted Hasina of crimes including incitement, orders to kill, and inaction to prevent atrocities as she oversaw a crackdown on anti-government protesters last year. Reading the verdict to the court, judge said accused prime minister committed crimes against humanity by her order to use drones, helicopters, and lethal weapons against civilians. Huh. So, she fled the country last year. She's been living in exile and under protection in neighboring India, and the Indian government has ignored requests for her extradition to face trial. Okay. Family members of killed protesters broke down in tears in the courtroom as judges handed death sentences to Hasina and the former Home Minister Khan, according her co-accused in the trial. So essentially, here's what I'm reading. Now, remember, I do not know anything about this case. All right. I don't pay attention to Bangladeshian criminal trials. But what it looks like is there was maybe some violent uprising, maybe some protesting, and maybe she ordered lethal force against the protesters, right? And now she's being sentenced to death for the protesters who may have been violent, dying, and now the anti-government protesters are being the government is saying, okay, let's sentence her to death. India is India, okay? Some good and bad about that place. But India is like, nah, we're going to protect her and we're going to hold her. So what I would assume, this is just my breakdown. This is just me, like 30,000 foot view, having just read this case. I would say that there's probably a lot of shit that we don't know based off of just this. Obviously there's shit we don't know because we've only been reading it for a few seconds. But I would have to see all of the evidence in the case before I would make an assumption on who's guilty and who's not. Instead of just reading the headline and like I was just saying, the reason why we do breakdowns is to get people to think critically when they read the news. Instead of just reading the headline and just going off of what I'm seeing here, which is protesters died and now she needs to be put to death because protesters died. I would need to know a lot more information. I would need to know, like, this anti-government protest, was it really anti-government or was it more like Antifa, where it's like they claim to be anti-government, but they are actually the terrorists? I would need to know if this bitch has a long history of corruption or if maybe she's kind of like a Trump figure where they wanted to get her out anyway, so now she's being sentenced to death. Why is India protecting her? India seems like more of a neutral democracy in some of these situations where they're not, they don't seem like a shady nation. I know, like I said, every government has shady shit. Like, India's buying fucking oil off of Putin, or selling oil to Putin. So I don't know. And instead of sitting here and reading every word of this, I'm just giving you my initial reaction, and we'll move on because we don't really give a shit about Bangladeshian politics. Sorry. All right. And now let's go to Poland politics. All right. Must be a fucking slow news week. It's just Epstein and then everything else. By the way, we are now at 8 o'clock. You know what? We started late today, so let's go to 8:30. I'm gonna do 8:30, and then I'm gonna cut off the feed for YouTube, because it's really, I don't think X. I don't even think we're streaming to X. Yes, we are not streaming to X. X, I believe, is still down. Let's go take a look. Okay, looks like X is actually working a little. But yes, we are not live. Yeah, we're not live, but seems like X is working for the moment. So we can go and check out the issues on there. But yeah, I will give 15 more minutes to the YouTube audience, which is probably just a few people. But head over to rumble.com at the top of the screen here, under right there. Head over to the top of the screen, rumble.com/TMP uncensored, because once we cut the show, that will be where you need to go to watch it. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. You just have to go there. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Why does that name sound so funny? It's like, because it's kind of like Donald Trump and Elon Musk had a baby. Is that real? Are we living in a simulation? Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk has described an explosion along a section of railway line used for deliveries to Ukraine as an unprecedented act of sabotage that could have led to disaster. So, looks like a Warsaw-Lubin rail line was sabotaged and headed to Ukraine. So this is Poland right here. They blew it up right here. This is where Zelensky would get it right here. Okay. Or over here. Yeah. Gray is Ukraine. All right. There were no casualties from the incident. Okay. Consequences could have been catastrophic if the gap in the tracks had caused the train traveling at full speed to derail. Looks like they caught it in time. Unfortunately, there's no doubt that we're dealing with an act of sabotage. Okay. I mean, it's a good plan. This is what happens in war, by the way. Okay. You know what's I find interesting about the pro-Pally people, right? Like, by the way, isn't it funny how we're not talking about the fucking Palestinians anymore? Because Israel wasn't lying when they said, if you give us our fucking hostages back, we'll leave you alone. Isn't that fucking interesting? Isn't it fucking interesting how these fucking morons like Ian Carroll were like, Israel just wants war. That's all they want. It's like, no, they want their hostages back. Right, like, they just want to kill every Palestinian. Okay, well, if they get their hostages back and they stop killing Palestinians, wouldn't that be proof that they didn't want to kill Palestinians in the first place? That they just wanted their fucking hostages back? And then they get their hostages back and they're like, all right. You know who's still killing Palestinians? Hamas. A lot of them. Side note, by the way, let's get back to this. But yeah, in war, okay, and the reason why I bring up that reference is you actually try your best to make sure that your enemy doesn't have supplies. You try to make sure that your enemy doesn't have food, water, electricity, and most importantly, weapons. That's what you do. So I don't know why, for the past couple of years, we have been gaslit under this notion that Israel is responsible for feeding Palestinians after Palestinians are the ones that came in and raped and murdered 1,200 people. It's weird, right? Like, this is awful, but totally normal, right? Whatever fucking Russian supporting cunt blew up this railway in order to stop supplies from getting to Ukraine is doing war the right way. Not saying I agree with it. I'm saying that's how you do war. You try to stop supplies. You don't just give unlimited supplies to the people that are trying to kill you. You go, no, I want you to starve, and I want you to be cold, and I don't want you to have weapons, and then hopefully the war ends. It's fucking weird how we went through like this year and a half, 2 year fucking like it's like COVID. It's like oh, wear 2 masks. That's normal. No, it's not. Same thing. It's like they just try to convince you that up is down, left is right. All right. Anyway, often the perpetrators are Ukrainians, Belarusians, or Polish citizens who are recruited for one-time jobs over the Telegram messaging app. Okay. Okay. The attack comes amid a campaign of sabotage in Poland and other European countries that has been attributed to Russian security services, seeking to sow chaos and discord in Europe over support for Ukrainians' war effort. In Poland, this has included fires and explosions at shopping malls and other sites. So they think that Russians are trying to sabotage. They're trying to break the Ukrainian spirit, right? Sow discord. That's war. Let's look at this. I don't think they're going to let us read it. Nope. Okay, let's go to the top. Here we go. UN backs Gaza plan. Shocker. Oh, hold on. Let's look at Al Jazeera first because this is all propaganda. All right, let's look at the propaganda portion of this. Al Jazeera is a terrorist propaganda magazine. Okay, that's what it is. Anybody that tells you different is fucking lying or ignorant. UN Security Council approves U.S. plan for Gaza stabilization force. Okay. By Virginia Petramarki. This live page is now closed. Okay, here's what happened today. They approved the ceasefire plan. Israel opposition party slams passage of Gaza resolution. Malaysia says this actually seems like it's actually not that bad as far as propagandizing this story. Palestinian group. Okay, here we go. Palestinian group says the UN resolution violates the right to self-determination. Al-Haq has warned that the UNSC resolution adopted on Monday further undermines the Palestinians' right to self-determination. Yeah, well, go fucking vote in different people then. I don't know. All right, let's go to a real fucking actual kind of news organization. All right, UN Security Council votes to endorse Trump's Gaza plan. All right, so the Security Council has endorsed proposals put forward by Donald Trump for a lasting peace in Gaza, including the deployment of an international stabilization force and possible path to a sovereign Palestinian state. Possible. Which means they're not a country. The reason I laugh when I say that is because if there's a two-state solution that is required for Palestine to be a state, that is an acknowledgement that they are not a state. And if they are not a state, they can't be occupied. Oops. So, this whole occupation talking point doesn't make any sense unless you change the definition of occupation, kind of like the way the left changed the definition of vaccine, right? It's like Dave Smith's argument will be like they're occupied, and and if you fire back with how they're not a state, he'll be like, well, because you don't go by the international law, you go by like just moral law, and it's like, no, you don't. You go by the fucking definition of the fucking word. And that's not what the word means. You're talking about a completely different thing, right? Like, talking about conquering, maybe. You're not talking about occupying, because it's Israel. You can't occupy. Like, if I was you, it'd be like me saying I'm occupying, right? This apartment. It's my apartment. No, I'm not. I'm living in my apartment. You see? You see how words work, Dave? See how that shit works? It's like sounds come out of your food hole that mean things, and you're saying different fucking things. So stupid. It's so stupid. For 2 years, we've been like, Israel's occupying a place that is Israel. It's like, fucking what? And 5 times, Israel's like, do you want this? And they're like, no, we want all of that. And they're like, no. Oh, well, then you're occupying. No, we were going to give you some, but if you don't want any, then all right, fine. All right. I feel like shit, by the way. I really do. I feel fucking weak and tired. Is it shitty out? Is that what's going on? Oh, yeah, it's kind of shitty out. This is definitely a shitty day. Okay. Hamas rejected what it described as... Hold on, let's go here. All right. On the eve of the UN vote, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu reinstated the government's adamant opposition to the creation of a Palestinian state, raising questions on whether Israel will allow the implementation of the UN-mandated proposals. After the vote, Hamas rejected what it described as an imposed international guardianship mechanism and insisted it would not disarm. Okay, well, you die then. That's how that works. You die, and that's how that works. If I was Benjamin Netanyahu, I would be like, oh, I'm your Huckleberry. You don't want to disarm? You die then. Right? That's how this works. And anytime somebody says that, you get the dickheads like Dave Smith who are like, "Oh, that's crazy. You're just going to go and kill them?" Yes. Yes. Find your fucking sack, Dave, right? They are terrorists. Terrorists who say, "We're not going to give up our weapons." Okay, you die then. That's how that works. If you don't disarm, you die. And if you use a human shield, they die. And guess what? Your fault. Not my fault, your fault, right? If you put a tiny Palestinian child in front of you and you go, I'm not going to disarm, I am a terrorist organization. We conducted a rape and murder operation a couple of years ago, and now I'm going to hold this kid in front of me. If I'm Israel, I'm shooting through the kid. And I'm sorry, I know that sounds horrible, but I'm thinking of my kids. I'm thinking of my country. I'm thinking of what will happen down the road if I don't do this. It's the trolley problem. Fucking libertarians don't understand that the trolley problem means you have to, right? Not want to, not moral. It's you got 4 people on one track, one person on the other track. You have to make a decision. And if you don't make a decision, that is your decision. All right? Do you allow 4 people to die, or do you pull a lever and kill one person? I always kill the person. And I think that I'm going to still get into heaven. And when people push me, and when they poke me, and when they call me piece of shit, whatever, I'll just take it even further. I will double, triple, quadruple down until the point where I'm saying, I don't care if all Palestinians die. And then they go, oh my God, you're a monster. And I go, okay, fine. I don't care. I don't care, right? I was fine with the operation on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I was fine with the operation in Operation Gomorrah in Dresden, all around the world. And I'm fine with disproportionate response. I'm fine with civilians dying as long as it means that less civilians will die in the future. I'm fine with the trolley problem. The trolley problem is a problem. But you give me 5 seconds, I'm pulling that lever. Because it's about morality. Okay. Is 1 less than 4? Okay. I feel pretty fucking moral. And I'm tired of explaining myself. I don't need to explain myself. I am tired of explaining myself, though. It's like, get mad. Get mad. Cry into your cock-shaped pillow. I don't fucking care. Okay. Now, let's let's talk about. Okay, first of all, let's end the stream on YouTube. If you guys want to jump on the Cool Kids show, there's only 2 people on YouTube. You can make your way over. All right. Get over to rumble.com/TMP uncensored.